I think for me, in this phase of the market, I'm looking for quick in and out. And I see this as being 3 years before it's done.
Hi Charlotte, welcome to Property Elevator.
Thank you.
Tell me firstly, where have you come from today?
So I've come in from Chesham in South Buckinghamshire.
Brilliant. And is that where your deal is located as well?
It is, yes. It's in the centre of the town there. I'm looking to develop a Travelodge with some apartments in a mixed-use scheme.
So how much investment then are you looking for from the angels?
So I'm looking for about 1.8 million in investment, and the deal looks like it will produce around 2.4 million in profit.
Amazing. And is this something that you're looking at doing on a full-time basis?
Definitely, yes. Yeah, this would kickstart my business, yes.
Okay, well, good luck. I wish you all the best.
Thank you.
We'll chat when you get out.
Thank you.
Quite an exciting proposition coming up now. In Monopoly, people transition from the greenhouses to the red, the hotels. This is a hotel proposition down in Chesham. We've got Charlotte coming to see us. It's a new build proposition. She's looking for £1.85 million with a 70-30 profit split in our favour. So we might be all gunning for this one. Let's take a look.
My name's Charlotte. I come from Chesham in South Buckinghamshire, though you'll be able to tell from my accent that I actually come from New Zealand, and I've been in the UK for 5 years. I'm looking to develop a Travelodge in Chesham with around 10 apartments as well in the complex. Chesham has an acute shortage of accommodation, and particularly South Buckinghamshire as well. So the site in question that I'm interested in acquiring for this deal is in the centre of Chesham. It's very close to the train station, very well connected for bus and taxi, and it's currently vacant. The owner, he owns it through his own pension scheme, through his company, and he is interested in looking at the options that are available for the site. The bulking for the previous planning permission shows that it would yield probably around an 80-room hotel as well as the 10 apartments. So you'll see in the packs that I've done a couple of appraisals that look at the figures that would produce. So we're looking at a gross development value of around 11.5 million to 11.7, a profit of around 2.5 million. So that's a profit on GDV of 21% and profit on cost of 30%. And that produces a residual land value of around 850 to 1.1 million. And the vendor paid 400,000 for it in 2011. I'd be looking at lending of around 7.8 million and cash into the deal of around 1.85 million. So to tell you a bit about myself, so I have about 10 years experience in the property industry, and I currently consult in development strategy and financial forecasting. I've worked with development managers and developers on quite large residential schemes for central and local government, and also at the University of Oxford. So I have degrees in history and property and an MBA from Oxford as well. And so this deal for me would represent the beginning of my own development journey in my own business rather than working for someone else. So I would be very keen to work with a property investor who would be interested in developing out this scheme with me, and I welcome any questions.
What a great pack. You're clearly professional. You've got an MBA from Oxford, you've got the degrees, you've got lots of corporate experience. Don't you think this is a bit of an ambitious first project on your own account, essentially?
Yes, it definitely is, and that's why I'm looking for a weighted joint venture heavily in favour of the investor, because one thing I didn't mention is that I wouldn't be bringing any equity to the deal, and so I do recognise that it will be a significant financial risk for an investor.
Sure, okay, and you expecting that investor to take the mortgage on their name as well? Because you wouldn't be able to get a mortgage of this size on this kind of deal in your own name yet.
No, I would be expecting it to go through a special purpose vehicle, but for the due diligence to go through the investor's financial.
The investor would have to be on that as a director and obviously major shareholder. Okay, all right, yeah, thank you.
What's the time frame?
24 months.
And the cash on cash return is 20% over that 2 years?
So the cash on cash return for the whole deal is around 30%, and then the cash on cash return for the investor will depend on the weighting of the joint venture.
Just to come in on that 24 months, is that 24 months you're talking about to build out, including getting the planning?
Yes, including getting the planning. So I was sort of allowing 6 months for planning and 18 months for build out.
Do you know how long it took to get the planning for the first proposal in 2008?
I think it went in 2007. It went back in, no, I don't know offhand. It's in the planning history, but I don't know.
I think I would suggest that the timescales for this would be a lot longer.
Okay.
It may take you a year and a half to get planning on a proposal like this and that sort of council.
Okay.
Can I ask you about so you talk about the Travelodge.
Mm.
Have you secured them as a tenant? Is that the intention?
Yes, yeah, so I've spoken with them and they're strongly interested, and their numbers have informed the development
How
proposals.
strongly interested? Is there something on paper?
No, not yet, no.
Okay.
I assume you wouldn't be exchanging on this until you had a signed
No,
lease from them.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Most definitely.
Just checking.
Yeah.
Okay. How did you
and
come
ideally
about?
an end purchaser signed up as well, the full deal.
Yeah. So
How
it's,
did you come about that relationship?
So they're looking to develop 127 new hotels, and in particular 3 towns locally in Buckinghamshire. But when I spoke to them as well, they actually listed off some other towns they were interested in, but they felt that Chesham and Kings Langley were the 2 that were the best suited to their brand.
Look, I'll declare my hand quite early here. There's a few things for me with this. First of all, you've got great theoretical experience, but you've not done any developments yourself. You also have no cash equity that, or even her equity that you're going to put into this scheme. And what you really need, what you're really looking for, is somebody who is experienced in the hotel space, in the development space for commercial, that can kind of help you on your journey. I'm not the right angel for you, and I wish you all the very best with it, but it's not one that I'll be taking forwards. Thank you.
Thanks, Scott.
Are you struggling to find your next commercial to residential conversion project? Well, over the next 2 years, virtually every UK bank branch will close. Banks are fabulous buildings in prime locations, and thanks to permitted development rights, they're really easy to convert to alternative uses under a light touch planning regime. My team have put together a list of over 500 UK bank branches which are poised for imminent closure. And for a limited period only, you can download this list absolutely free. Your next commercial property project is on this list, so download it now and enjoy the rest of the video.
I'll follow suit on that. I think it's a great pack. You're super investable, very well qualified. I'd love to do a deal with a fellow Antipodean. I think this is a deal that's okay if it goes really well, but it's one you lose your shirt on if it goes badly, because of the GDV and the amount of cash that needs to go in, and the fact that essentially the JV partner would be bringing that financial stability to this deal, and therefore risking that financial stability is the downside to this one. So for those reasons, it's not for me.
Thank you.
I think for me, in this phase of the market, I'm looking for quick in and out, and I see this as being 3 years before it's done. So for that reason, I think it's the wrong thing for me at this time in the market.
Thanks.
Wow. I mean, the amount of information in this pack, I haven't had a chance to go through all of it, but I'll definitely be reading it tonight. I love data, I love research, I love hotels, that's my area. Your market research that you've done on the demand, the competition, is fantastic. I think it's brilliant, so really well done. Unfortunately, the risk versus the reward in this particular plot and proposal doesn't stack for me really, but I think you're absolutely wonderful, and well done. But I can't invest in this one, I'm afraid.
Thanks.
Yeah, it's interesting because a couple of things that weren't clear from the pack, which make it a little bit more interesting, is the fact that you think you can get it subject to planning, and that you're very confident you can get a signed lease on it. I mean, there's obviously some negotiation to be done there.
For sure, yes.
Yeah, would
is
you
really-
consider flipping the site once you get planning, rather than building it out? Because I see all the risk in the build out, like the guys there. That's the problem here.
Yeah, I would definitely consider any route to sort of the
Making money.
end goal happening and making money. I would need assistance from an angel in finding a suitable developer to flip it to.
Yeah, absolutely,
Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah.
I could help with that. I can certainly help you with the planning as well.
Yeah.
You've obviously got your experience. We've got very practical commercial experience. So, together there could be something there. I wasn't interested in this really, as you've been talking, but a couple of facts have arisen, and it's getting more and more interesting. what you've said that they probably want, up to $1 million, you think they would want for the site now?
I think that would be a reasonable offer for them, because you may have seen that the development appraisal that's in there for apartments doesn't actually stack, and I imagine that that's what they would be looking to do.
Thinking. Yeah. So do you think an operator might be interested in forward funding this deal at all?
So I would be really interested in exploring the forward funding option. I'm not sure whether an operator would or not, but certainly I think an investor would be interested in forward funding. Yeah.
We'll look at all options.
Yeah.
I suppose from the experience that I've got, hotel operators don't generally forward fund sites like this, but I'd know some people that would be interested to fund the development of this, subject to an operator coming in with a lease, once.
Absolutely.
So you get the lease in place before it's built. Someone comes in that I know, I can introduce you to, that would fund the development of it. Just wanted to put that out there.
Yeah,
I'm happy to make that
appreciate that.
introduction
In light of
if needed.
that information, and if
Oh,
you're
here we
able
go.
to do
Here we
that,
go.
I'd be back in, actually.
Back in? You're not allowed to come back in.
I'm allowed to come back in.
You can't come back in.
I can.
Okay,
I think you just did.
What are you back in with?
So how would you feel if we could actually do that, and it's possible, and you could do the introduction? How would you feel about working with me on that? Hotels is my background, and
Well, hang on a minute. What am I making an introduction for without a slice of the action?
I've got plenty of funds we can use to
Got
forward
plenty of
fund,
money.
Hayley. So once we've got that lease, we'll be able to sell that, no problem at all, forward funding it.
yeah, I think so.
Scott would be useful to hear his context if he wants to get involved, but I think forward funding is the easy part once we've got the lease agreed and we've got the deal secured with the vendors.
Mm-hmm.
I think that is the easy piece here.
Yeah.
So what are you proposing? That we go 50-50 on a deal with Charlotte?
Yeah.
What were you offering in, Charlotte? Can you remind us in terms of the percentage split? Was it 70-30 you said?
Yeah, I presented a few different options depending on what you thought was reasonable.
Yeah, sure, okay.
On the basis you contribute £1.9 million.
It's 1.7.
If we need to, but we're getting it
But
subject to planning.
if there's forward funding involved, that would reduce the...
It's forward funding, and if we can get it subject to planning, we need an exchange deposit at worst for now. So I'd be willing to do that.
I think this is quite exciting,
Yeah.
actually.
I mean, I'd be interested at 80-20 so that we get 40% each. Because now you're in, actually that makes it quite a bit less interesting for me.
Thanks.
On the financial return side, come on, Hayley. You know I would love to work with you.
That's a good point, actually.
Would that be of interest to you?
Would you be interested?
From my perspective, could you both tell me a bit more about your experience with hotel
Yeah, absolutely.
development?
From my side, I've been a developer for over 20 years. We own well over £60 million worth of property. We've developed over 100 million and sold over 100 million with various clients. We've done plenty of conversions. Our latest was 30,000 square foot conversion back to residential. So we've dealt developments of this scale and we could run the site no problem. Hayley's also done lots of development, but has some specific apart hotel skills.
So-
We've bought and sold a couple of hotels, by the way, as well. So I should mention that kind of relevant information.
Yeah, so I own hotels and apart hotels as well. Hotel research was my background. I looked into hotel data, where hotels should open up. I'm a developer, been a developer for 20 years. So hotels is my bag. That's what I do.
Mm-hmm. I would be pleased to accept a 40-40-20 joint venture with both of you.
Brilliant.
Absolutely amazing.
Thank
Good
you.
choice.
Can't wait to work with you.
Likewise, thank you so much.
I'm not as
That could
upset
be really
now
interesting.
that you've made your offer in that way. I would really love to work with you. I think our skills are really complementary.
I agree. Yeah.
I'm glad,
gonna be
Nicholas. I was really worried.
I thought one of these buggers was going to come back in as well.
Yeah, we could have all come
we
back
got
in.
away with it.
You know,
I think we got away
it's
with it.
go on, sorry.
If that comes off, it'll be brilliant.
It will.
I think the chance
yeah.
of it coming off, though, with your flip idea is probably relatively slim.
I mean, the flip was one idea, but to be quite frank, if we can secure that lease, there's a good chance we'll build it out if we get comfortable with the numbers. There's more development profit to be made there. And actually, what we didn't discuss on the interview with her there was that we could asset manage that and possibly tweak the planning even better. You know, once we get into it and look at the planning side,
Yeah.
maybe there's a bit more resi on the top or a bit more hotel. I mean, there's all sorts of things we can do with that. I'm thinking like the apart hotel route
Yeah.
could be some of the units rather than pure resi and pure hotel.
Yeah.
So
No, I think this is a super exciting deal, and it's right up my street. I'm excited.
let's go and celebrate.
Let's.
Well, let's go and see what John has to say, whether he would do this hotel deal.
So when I'm looking to invest in a deal on the show, I want to invest in the person as much as the deal. And with Charlotte, well, what a inspirational young woman she is. Super bright, Oxford educated, as you know now. So no one got this deal until Nicholas twigged it at the end. I twigged it straight away because at the end of the day, if you've got a national hotel chain wanting to build and to have a hotel in that area, then it's a no-brainer because you sign them up before you actually build or do any work. So you've already got it funded by a bank because you've got a major hotelier taking the lease from you. No-brainer. None of the other angels got it. I can't understand what they were thinking. It just shows how small deals they do, because if they did bigger deals, they would have twigged onto this straight away. And it wasn't until Nicholas said at the end, they all wanted to come back in, oh yes, that's a good idea. Too late, guys. Nicholas is on the ball and the rest of you weren't.
Well, you certainly brought some fire into the room. I heard there was lots of drama.
Yes, yeah, there was a bit of an argument about rules,
Brilliant. Yeah, you had them all fighting over you, didn't you?
which was fantastic because at the beginning it seemed to be heading in a not so great direction, so it was excellent for it to turn around.
Amazing. Yeah, so how are you feeling then?
I'm really pleased. I'm excited to have 2 investors on board with complementary skill sets, and I think we can do something really interesting with this deal, and we need to move quickly.
So who did you partner up with then?
So I'm joint venturing with Hayley and Nicholas.
Excellent. You've got 2 fantastic angels on board there with you. Lots more deals done today, and as always, a little bit of drama between our angels. But that's all we've got time for today. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time.
The Baker Street Property Meet is the UK's largest and #1 property investors networking event. The property market is going through monumental change right now, and at Baker Street Property Meet we aim to keep you up to date with the latest tips and tricks and insider tactics to help you keep on top of your property investing game and succeed in these troubled economic times. The Baker Street Property Meet is fundamentally about networking because it's not what you know, it's who you know. And at Baker Street, we aim to connect you with the people to make your property journey a monumental success. There's no better place to be to further your property investment journey than the Baker Street Property Meet. So make sure you're here, you're connecting with myself and Andrew Roberts, our expert guest speakers and 300 passionate property people each and every month. See you at the next meet. Get your spot at bakerstreetpropertymeet.com.